Rinse takes your laundry and hand-delivers it to your door, expertly cleaned and folded. So you could take the time once spent folding and sorting and waiting to finally pursue a whole new version of you. Like Tea Time You. Or this Tea Time You. Or even this Tea Time You.
Said you hear about Dave?
Or even Tea Time You.
So update on Dave.
It's up to you. We'll take the laundry. Rinse. It's time to be great.
Every holiday shopper's got a list, but Ross shoppers, you've got a mission. Like a gift run that turns into a disco snow globe, throw pillows, and PJs for the whole family, dog included. At Ross, holiday magic isn't about spending more, it's about giving more for less. Ross, work your magic.
This is Optimal Health Daily. Feel free to ignore this nutrition advice by Sally Kuzemchak of realmomnutrition.com. And I'm Dr. Neil Malik, your host and narrator. Hey there, happy middle of the week Wednesday, and welcome back to Optimal Health Daily, where I simply read to you from the best health and fitness blogs for free. And on Fridays, I answer your questions. Remember, you can send in a question by going to oldpodcast.com/ask, or just send a question via email directly to health@oldpodcast.com. Now, today is Wednesday, and like I do every Wednesday, I like to share a little bit of inspiration with you. So with that, here we go. Quote, "The groundwork of all happiness is health." Charles Dickens. All right, and with that, let's get right to today's post and start optimizing your life. Feel free to ignore this nutrition advice by Sally Kuzemchak of realmomnutrition.com. The world is full of nutrition advice dispensed by dietitians, doctors, personal trainers, bloggers, moms at the bus stop, and complete strangers in line at the grocery store. Some of it's good, like eat more leafy greens. Some of it is bad, like avoid fruit, it's too sugary. And some pieces of advice get passed around so much, nobody stops to consider whether they actually make any sense. Here are 7 pieces of nutrition advice you can officially ignore. 1. Only shop the perimeter. If I only shopped the perimeter at the grocery store, I'd eat fruits, vegetables, fish, milk, meat, eggs, and cheese. Oh, and donuts. The bakery happens to be on the perimeter of my store too. If I avoided the middle aisles, I'd never again buy beans, lentils, brown rice, whole grain pasta, olive oil, nuts, nut butters, oatmeal, canned tomatoes, whole grain bread, spices, frozen fruit, flaxseed dark chocolate, or cereal. And we'd never floss again either. Obviously, the intention of this advice was to encourage people to eat more whole, unprocessed foods. Though a lot of highly processed foods live in those middle aisles, so do a lot of healthy staples. 2. Avoid ingredients you can't pronounce. Many are seeking out products with simpler ingredients lists. That's all well and good, but there are lots of ingredients with lengthy or scary-sounding names that aren't harmful, like acetic acid, which is just a fancy name for vinegar, and ascorbic acid, which is a fancy name for vitamin C. Sodium bicarbonate sounds like a harmful chemical, but it's actually just baking soda. You'll spot Lactobacillus acidophilus on the label of some yogurts, a mouthful of a name, but it's a strain of beneficial bacteria that are good for the gut. Some products are also fortified with nutrients that are important for health, but happen to have confusing names, like cyanocobalamin, which is vitamin B12, and calciferol, which is just vitamin D. 3. Only buy organic. It's more important to buy and eat fruits and vegetables than whether you get organic or conventional. Researchers haven't found evidence that organic produce is healthier in terms of nutrition or that eating organic is better for long-term health. But what is known for sure? Diets rich in fruits and vegetables are good for everyone. Even the Environmental Working Group, best known for its Dirty Dozen list, says, quote, "The Environmental Working Group always recommends eating fruits and vegetables, even conventionally grown, instead of processed foods and other less healthy alternatives." End quote. So, buy the produce you can afford and serve it often. 4. Schedule cheat days. I'm not a fan of the term cheating when it comes to eating. Ditto for the phrases, "I was good," or "I was bad," or "I'm on a diet." A diet so restrictive that you need to spend an entire day eating all the foods you're normally not allowed to have is not sustainable in the long term. It sets you up for failure, which makes you feel bad about yourself and drives you straight toward the very foods you're trying to limit. It's okay to plan a special eating session like a trip to the ice cream shop with your kids on the weekend, but not because you're cheating or being bad. 5. Switch to sea salt for less sodium. By weight, sea salt and regular table salt contain similar amounts of sodium. Varieties of sea salt that have large, coarse granules may have less sodium per teaspoon simply because you can't get as many granules in the measuring spoon. While we're at it, brown eggs aren't any better for you than white eggs. They're just laid by a different breed of hen. Ditto for white sugar and brown sugar. Brown sugar is simply white sugar with molasses added to it. 6. Don't eat anything white. This seems to be something people are hearing from their family doctors, who are probably suggesting that they cut out bread and pasta to lose weight. But it's not great advice. It's true that pigments that give color to plant foods have health-protecting qualities, but while fruits and veggies actually have beneficial compounds in them too, including foods people think of as nutritionally wimpy, like white potatoes, are actually high in vitamin C and fiber, and even celery because it's got a decent amount of vitamin C and folate. And though white bread and white pasta have less nutrition than their whole grain counterparts, they certainly aren't devoid of nutrients. So, if your kid is stuck on white bread and white pasta, rest assured they are still getting nutrition on their plate. And 7, don't eat anything processed. So much advice about processed food is unrealistic, like avoid anything in a package, as if. Unless you live on a farm and spend all day in the kitchen, that's impossible. The fact is, most foods are processed in some way, including plenty of healthy staples, since processing includes canning, freezing, and chopping. A more accurate and helpful way to think of foods is the degree of processing they've undergone. Ultra-processed foods have more ingredients like dyes, stabilizers, and emulsifiers, and contain very little intact, unprocessed foods. These are foods like chicken nuggets, soda, and boxed cereals, for example. They tend to be high in calories, low in nutrients, and associated with some health risks. So, it makes sense to eat fewer of them. You just listened to the post titled, "Feel Free to Ignore This Nutrition Advice" by Sally Kuzemchak of realmomnutrition.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
So good, so good, so good.
Give big, save big with Rack Friday deals at Nordstrom Rack. For a limited time, take an extra 40% off red tag clearance for a total savings up to 75% off. Save on gifts for everyone on your list from brands like Vince, Cole Haan, Sam Edelman, and more. All sales final and restrictions apply. The best stuff goes fast, so bring your gift list and your wish list to your nearest Nordstrom Rack today. This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Dr. Neal here with my commentary. Let's go back to that sea salt and processed foods advice. Today's author, Sally, mentioned that we may often hear anecdotal advice about buying only sea salt or unprocessed salt, for example. There are even those who swear by eating only pink salt mined from the Himalayan mountains. But some forms of processed salt like these can contain higher amounts of potentially harmful compounds, like microplastics and lead. When salt is processed, these potentially harmful compounds are actually removed, and in some cases, iodine is added. Now, this is all good. This is a good form of processing. So when sea salt and Himalayan salt are processed, they're actually removing some of these potentially harmful compounds and adding something good in exchange, like iodine. Why is iodine potentially good? Well, iodine is particularly important for children and women of childbearing age. And so using iodized salt is often recommended for most people, but particularly for these groups. Now, iodine in the body has many functions, but one of its main functions is to support proper growth and development. So all of this to say that processed foods are not always a bad thing. As today's author Sally said, it's the degree of processing that's most important. All right, that'll do it for another edition of Optimal Health Daily. Thank you so much for listening. And of course, I'll be back here tomorrow as usual. So I'll see you there where your optimal life awaits.